So the Lionsgate 8-8 today has been bringing forth a lot of energy. And when I was meditating on the message for Lionsgate, which is both a portal day but also has some influences of Mercury retrograde, I got a really interesting message for the collective. Now, a lot of the times when I meditate for messages for the collective, sometimes they will come during the meditation or they are followed in a dream. And so bear with me while I tell you this message and let it, you can put it in the comments whether or not it resonates or if something symbolic in the dream means something to you. But the image that I had was descending into what seemed like a very creaky old basement. It was dark. And in the very dim light, there was a large chess piece, a knight. It was huge. It had to have been at least 1 or 2 stories high. It was made of what looked like dilapidated stone that was cracking and falling apart. It was moss covered. And as soon as I laid my eyes on this enormous chess piece, immediately a blindfold was put over my eyes and a piece of fabric was put over my mouth as a way to limit what I could see or what I could communicate. And in the dream, I was pulling at the blindfold and pulling at the fabric that was covering my mouth to pull them away. And when I pulled them free, they slapped right back on. And I did that 3 times. On the 3rd time, I opened my mouth to speak what I interpreted in the dream as my truth. And it resonated so loudly, the voice carried so much that it shook the scene and it crumbled the chess piece. When I look at that from an intuitive standpoint, it makes me feel like old structures, old strategies that once kept you blind to your potential and keeping you from speaking your truth because of old structures, strategies, traumas that were put on us. You're no longer being held to. You're ripping away the blindfold. You're ripping away the fabric that covers your mouth to speak your truth in strength, authenticity, and in sovereignty. This is the message that I'm getting for the Lionsgate. For those of you that have not been here before, my name is Angel. This is Rabbit and Moon Tarot, and I'm an intuitive reader. And we're going to deep dive into this kind of imagery that I was getting for the collective with strategy, structure. I'm also getting feelings of, I don't necessarily like to use this word, but manipulations, whether they were purposeful or, not purposeful. Sometimes people can use manipulation as a way to keep themselves safe, but it harms other people. And something about the structure, the strategy, the manipulation, you collective are breaking free of that during this 8-8 Lionsgate portal that is ushering you into a new version of your life. And the last reading that I had done was about August 22nd, the new moon. Whatever decision being made at that time is not a decision, it is the decision that changes your life. So it's not by chance this strong imagery came in for the Lionsgate. This is entering into new possibilities. So something between the Lionsgate and that new moon is really, really going to, provided this is what you want, can really change the trajectory of your life in a positive way. So let's see what the cards say. So what is the message that is trying to be conveyed to the collective that may be a little bit mysterious? Maybe the collective is not quite not quite catching the meaning or not quite hearing the message clearly, can you help bring us a message? Okay, so what we have is, pardon me, I'm losing my voice, the aristocrat. So we're going to put this here in the moon, because the moon represents mystery, the unknown. And so the aristocrat is, right away what I hear is the way that things always have been done. Pardon me if you heard a muffled sound. I just bumped my mic by accident. But the aristocrat speaks to me of the way things always have been done. There is a structure, a strategy, a paradigm, a cadence, a rhythm that has always been this way, that no one has ever questioned. And or this could be a life that you have led that has always been a certain way, and no one has ever challenged it. Maybe you have never challenged it, but that changes. The aristocracy of this energy is giving way to a new energy. I feel like the collective really wants to make a change, and not just any change, but one that they take back their power. You take back your power. The old guard is changing. So let's get some information or some perspective about what the collective may be feeling. What is the collective currently feeling during this Lionsgate? Okay. We have the key. We'll put it here on the rabbit since it's a grounded energy. The key. So right away, this speaks to me of, I'm seeing that large chess piece once again. And the proverbial person ripping away the blindfold, pulling off the fabric that covers them, your voice, speaking your truth. The old way of doing things, patterns that you may have had, cycles that you may have had, the way family dynamics have operated, the way you've settled into a job or allowed certain people to treat you at your job, or your boss, or friends, or lovers. The treatment that you have allowed is no longer allowed. You're wanting more for yourself. Again, this aristocrat card makes me feel the old ways of doing things, and you have always had the key. The key to open the door to a new life. I've said it in past readings before that you are the maestro of your own destiny. That you hold the power in yourself to make the changes that are necessary. And when we're talking about that imagery of being in the presence of something so huge, like in the dream, so huge, so overwhelming, such a symbol of strategy and, what's the word? Careful planning. It's almost as if you collective have recognized how people, I just saw puppet strings. And how people in your life, again, regardless of where they come from, but people in your life pull strings like a puppet to make you act in accordance to what they want, and that is no longer what you are allowing. It's not even that collective. It's not even that you are standing up and saying, you can't do this to me. You are simply saying in your own energy, I no longer allow this. I will not be blinded by, a distraction here or coercion there. I will no longer silence myself from speaking my most authentic truth. This is who I am. This is the portal I choose to walk through with strength, with pride, with conviction, and with fiery action. You are removing that blinder. You're removing that gag because you refuse to be blinded to reality. You see people for what they do. I'm getting the inclination that you're starting to see people's inner machinations, their strategy, their scheming, their lying. You may even be feeling like lately you've been catching people in lies, or you can tell when someone's lying to you, and you no longer are holding back from what your truth is. You know exactly what you want to do, how you'll go about it, and what is your end goal. You've always had the key. So we have some beginning energies, quite big energy, to be honest. But we're going to go ahead and get some tarot to clarify. Move this down and put this over just a little bit. Let's start with some clarification on this aristocrat, this kind of old way of being. Let's get some clarification on the aristocrat. The aristocrat is lovers in reverse. So this is talking about disharmony, feeling disconnected. There's discord, there's imbalance, there's trust issues. Specifically, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. This is about love. So this could be people, maybe you have a difficult relationship with your father or your mother, and the ways in which your parent may have pulled strings to make you act in accordance to what they want, you're starting to recognize that that's what they've been doing. Or perhaps you have a complicated relationship with your parents in the sense that maybe they were absent or they weren't as present as they should be, and that's left you with wounds. It also could be about friendships or love relationships that feel top heavy. Someone else is getting, oh, I just heard that song by the Foo Fighters in my head. Is someone getting the best of you? I'll link the song in the description box below if you've never heard it before. But the hook or the refrain or the chorus, I don't know what you call it really, but it's saying, is someone getting the best of you? Is someone getting the best of you? Are you moving on to something new? Like, really think about those lyrics. I said it for a reason. It came forward for a reason. Is someone getting the best of you? Or are you moving on to something new? This is talking about being unsatisfied in your current situation and not just sitting in it and being like, oh, well, I guess this is what life is. No, this is making changes of recognizing, like I've said, you are the maestro of your own destiny. And so thus you can make changes. Again, it doesn't have to be love, but the lovers in reverse tends to kind of lead more towards deep connections. So this would be something like long-standing friendships that perhaps you've allowed a certain type of behavior for a really long time, and then you're starting to realize that it is top-heavy, that you give, and maybe you don't get back in equal measure. This could be your parents, where you bend over backwards to make them happy, but they don't necessarily respect your decisions or value your choices. Maybe you had early parental wounds. And this could be love, where your current partner wants everything so that they feel comfortable, but don't necessarily check in with you to make sure that you're okay. Take it as it resonates. Don't do the mental gymnastics to make this fit. If it does, it's your reading. If not, that's okay. Maybe it'll be another reading for another day. Let's get some more clarification cards on this aristocrat card. Okay, so then we've got the Eight of Swords in reverse, which is escape. The Eight of Swords is about having a false sense of imprisonment. A lot of the times, the Eight of Swords represents how we ourselves allow ourselves to be bogged down by other people's expectations, by our own expectations, by society's expectations, our lovers, our parents, our friends, and feeling like we can't move on. But escape. This is about letting go of limiting beliefs. It's taking your power back. It's release. It's gaining more mental strength. This is the card of tearing off that blindfold and removing the gag from your mouth, because you will no longer be blinded. You will no longer be led by your nose. You will see things and see people for who they actually are, especially during this time. You probably have already been noticing. Maybe one day the job that you went to that you was totally okay, and now you go to work and you're like, this is unbearable. How have I put up for this or with this for so long? Or a friendship where you've been friends with them for a really long time. All of a sudden you're like, this person takes so much from me and manipulates me into giving them free rides or paying their way or always making sure their needs are met without it being reciprocated in kind. And the same thing for a relationship. You are freeing yourself in the most empowering way possible. Not through fighting, not through screaming, not through revenge, but simply limiting your access to people who don't value your boundaries. Because when you define boundaries and people balk at boundaries, or when you say this is no longer working for me and pull away from them and people have a reaction, a lot of the times people who balk at boundaries are people who benefited you from you not having any. So this great escape that you're doing right now is gonna ruffle feathers, honestly, but you can't be concerned with that. You have to focus on you. You have to focus on doing what's in alignment with what is in healthy alignment for you. What constitutes your happiness? What elevates your energy? I feel like you've spent a lot of time looking after other people. Now it's time to start looking out for yourself. Okay, let's get some more. Whoop. Let's get some more information on this aristocrat. But then we've got 10 of Swords, which is a breakdown, a breakup. It is an ending of an old way. It's like you've reached the end of a path. It's time to. I just heard that song again by the Foo Fighters. Are you moving on to something new? You're at the end of a tough cycle, but you've escaped it. That's why you're at the end of this tough cycle. This old way of being, this old guard, these old expectations that have, I just heard, shackled you to low self-opinion, shackled you to putting your needs after everyone else's. This escape is about freeing yourself and allowing yourself happiness, freedom into happiness, removing yourself from toxic, limiting, stifling energies so you can spread your wings and really fly. So let's look into this key. You've always had this key. You've always had the ability to move forward. So let's see what we get. So we've got 6 of coins. So this is equal give and take. This is the key. The key to your happiness and to your well-being is our connections that have kindness, that recognize your value and you recognize their equal give and take, vulnerability, generosity. The key to your happiness is surrounding yourself with connections, or connecting yourself with people who will see your intrinsic value right off the bat. You do not have to convince them of your worth, that you deserve love, that you deserve respect, that you deserve consideration. They give you that right off the bat because they know who you are. They know your worth, and they know that you deserve it. And it's what's right. Yep, we've got 2. So then we have then we've got the Page of Cups. So this is in this Page of Cups in reverse. So it does talk about that there were some creative blocks, that you were dealing with inner child wounding. You may have been dealing with a manipulator, whether they're a friend, parent, coworker, someone in your life that you have a connection, like an emotional connection to, that was kind of stifling, that was adding to this 8 of Swords before you flip the script and we're like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm ripping away the blinders and the gag. I'm speaking my truth. The key to this is surrounding yourself with supportive people. You did have some blocks. Maybe you're currently dealing with some blocks, some self-worth issues. Again, like I said, early childhood trauma with parental units. But this is why surrounding yourself with people who care, that are kind, value you intrinsically for who you are is so paramount. Next card we have is the Sun. This is freedom, success, warmth, happiness, positivity, truth, fun, energy rush. This is the ultimate happiness. You've always had the key to your ultimate happiness. You just had to take matters into your own hands. You had to break away from old stifling routines or structures or schemes or manipulations or cycles. You had to break free from that. There are people out there who are supportive, kind, and loving and want to be around you. Regardless of the hard upbringings or early starts that you've had, they see the value. They help you see your own value. And this is what adds to your happiness. Man, this is it's pretty intense. Okay, so I'm going to move these cards a little bit down, and we're going to get some cards from the universe to give us some energy as we kind of close this out, because I don't want it to be too long, because I am doing this really late. But it was one of those readings that I'm like, I just have to do this reading because it is the Lion's Gate. Hold on just a second while I get the deck that I want to use. Oh. Well, I feel like I should see what that card is that just popped out. So let me grab it and look at it. Okay, so we got Bird. That fell out right here. It says renewal, transition, freedom, lightness, thrill seeker, adventure, and new love. This is the beginning. Like I said, you've always had the key to your happiness. And that key, I feel like you already know. There is a group of people. There is a support system. There is someone who sees you for your most authentic self. Wounds and all. And they love and cherish you and hold space for you and find you sacred and important and valuable. And you don't have to ask them for this. You don't have to ask them for respect or to value you. They just give it to you because it's what you deserve, and they know your worth. This is where your sun is at. This is where your happiness is at. Friend, family, lover, coworker, in whatever way it manifests, you already have the key in order to bring in your happiness. So let's ask the universe some more questions and some more little tidbits about what we should know for the collective during this Lionsgate. Okay, so we have fog. Things are not what they appear. Work through issues as they arise, and problems will resolve eventually. So it may feel like, at this point, it might feel like what you're going through is unending, or that there's not a way to get through it. But Spirit is saying, I just heard, it's always darkest before the dawn. You have to push through some of the darkest points in your life to make it to the dawn. I know it's a cliche, but the only way we see stars twinkle in the sky is when it's surrounded by darkness. And darkness isn't something to be afraid of. It is natural. It is part of who we are. We have our light side and our dark side, or our shadow side. Those things work in balance with each other. The dark side is your internal world, your emotions, your feelings, your experiences, even your traumas. Your light side is your elevated side, your humanitarian side, what you present to the world. Those things need to be in balance. Things are not always what they appear. Work through the issues as they arise, and problems will be resolved. Spirit is saying this. This may seem difficult, but Spirit won't put you to it unless it can see you through it. Because it knows that you have the power and the sovereignty to change your own life. The universe, the spirit, your guides, your deities, they can see that happiness is on the precipice, ready to bless your life, but you have to want it. And if you want it, you have to work for it. You have to take the steps to carve out the path that you want for yourself. And it does mean pushing through things that sometimes feel like is so difficult. But again, it's always darkest before the dawn. For some reason, I'm hearing the analogy for, like, in medical field, where if you have, like, say, an ACL tear or a meniscus tear, those are sports injuries a lot of the time. Or you could just be walking down the stairs and miss a stair and hurt yourself. But an ACL or an MCL tear, meniscus tear, it's a lot of pain, a lot of instability. You don't know when you're going to experience the pain or when your knee's going to give out. And then you have the surgery, and it's supposed to fix it. But after surgery, you feel stiff, there is pain, and then you have to do physical therapy, which is painful. But there's a difference. There is the pain during the injury where it's unstable, where you never know when it's going to, give out and cause excruciating pain. But post-surgery, during physical therapy, it's pain, but it's the pain of healing, not of injury. And every day you do physical therapy, that pain gets less and less. And your knee gets stronger and stronger because you're working through it. Things are not always what they appear. Work through it. Problems will resolve and you will heal. Then we've got Apple. Good health, knowledge, wisdom, luxury. Your time has come. Good health, knowledge, wisdom, luxury. Your time has come. Right over the Sun card. I'm going to put that right over the Sun card. I can't. I feel like there isn't really a need for me to explain that because it seems self-explanatory. We just went over how you got to push through, push through, push through. Because it's the darkest before dawn. It hurts in physical therapy, but that's because you're healing, and it won't always hurt. It'll subside. You'll get stronger. One more card. Photographs. Time to communicate your feelings and memories to loved ones, or experience, inspire, and empower others through wisdom. There's something that needs to be said. Time to communicate your feelings and memories to a loved one. Experience, inspire, and empower others through your wisdom. Something needs to be said. I feel like, collective, whatever's going on here, remember at the beginning where I said the dream I had was pulling the blindfold off of your eyes, pulling the gag out of your mouth, and those two items kept slapping back over the eyes and the mouth, and that dream person kept ripping it away until finally they stayed off, and the person opened their mouth and spoke a truth so loud. You know what it reminds me of? Okay, for those of you it makes sense. If you've ever seen the movie Dogma, I know, deep cut, okay? Dogma. There's a point when, quote, God comes down. If you know the movie, it's a whole satirical comedy, right? But God comes down to earth, and God is in the form of a then musical artist, Alanis Morissette. And one of the angels was being subjected to judgment. And Alanis Morissette, or God in a human body, simply opened their mouth. And it was this loud, resounding sound, and it shook the screen, and it literally broke the angel apart. Because he was being judged for his misdeeds. This is what it felt like when I was looking at the dream person ripping away the blindfold and ripping away the gag, and finally being able to see what people were doing to them, to see the manipulation or the structure or the strategy or the schemes, and finally being able to speak their truth uninhibited and unabashed. And that truth was so strong, it resonated so loud that it broke apart this giant chess piece that represented manipulation or strategy or scheme. And whatever came out of that dream person's voice is such a huge truth collective that it's what's needed to be spoken between the Lion's Gate and the new moon. Take it as it resonates. Don't do the mental gymnastics to make it fit. If it resonates, you will know it. It will pluck a heartstring and it will be undeniable. You'll think immediately of a person, place, or thing and equate this reading to what's happening. Don't make it fit. And that is the reading for Lion's Gate. I really hope it helped someone in the collective, and that it helped confirm something for you, perhaps, if it needed to be confirmed, or if it helped give you perspective, or if you just wanted to feel like what you were feeling was validated. Everyone, find your power, find your voice, and find your path to happiness during this Lion's Gate. And I wish you all the best. This is Rabbit and Moon Tarot. My name is Angel, and I will see you at the next read.